Hey guys, Gyan again. This is a compatibility overview to see how stuff that was meant for the original Gyan fits on the new revived Gyan. Namely, the Gyan cannon from E2046 and the valuable pod. Starting off with the Gyan cannon. And things here are actually pretty straightforward. Out of the box, it's not going to be completely compatible. And I'm not just saying that because it's a resin model kit. Now, there are a few things that will work right away. For example, the 4-arm mounted triple missile launchers. They simply slide on here and fit absolutely perfectly like this. You might have to sand it down a little bit depending on how many layers of paint you're going to be using, but as you can see, absolutely perfectly. Then when we get to the backpack, you gotta glue it on the old Gyan. You're gonna glue it on to the revived Gyan, or you can do as I did and simply use the backpack you're getting with the Gyan itself. Saw out these pieces and put the cannons in there with a few joints and have a fully functional cannon right there. Now we get to the stuff where you gotta put in a bit of effort, starting off with the extra shoulder pads that we're getting. As you can see, I didn't glue them on my original Gyan, and you're not gonna have to glue them on this Gyan either. Namely, the reason is the shoulders are too wide, well, just too big to accommodate these shoulder pads. So what you're gonna have to do is sand it down until they fit on there perfectly, and then you're gonna have friction, which will keep the shoulder pads perfectly on there, so you will still have all of the great movement from the original Gyan. Well, from the revived Gyan, I mean. So far, so good. And then finally, we get to the last part that I thought was not going to work in a million years unless you put in a lot of effort. The front skirts. Mainly because, well, the way the front skirt moves on the original Gyan, or I guess I should say the lack of movement on the front skirt of the original Gyan, is completely different from the super articulated revived Gyan. It's completely different, couldn't be any more different. I mean, here it's all just one piece, well, two halves slapped together, and here everything moves so well. So I thought there was no way it's going to work until I realized you can simply remove the armor right here and you have an inner frame, quote unquote, which is actually where the movement happens. So what you have to do is simply cut this out, grab yourself a little saw off the side skirts that are connected to it, and then you simply have to glue it on there. You might have to do a little bit of sanding here and there to make sure everything sits flush with the side skirts, but it's surprisingly, well, easy to do. It's almost as if they designed the Gyan in mind with compatibility for this thing. I'm very impressed with the way you can make it work relatively easy. And oddly enough, despite the Gyan cannon being made for the original Gyan, I would almost say that because the front skirts work so relatively well, it will actually work better on the revived Gyan, provided you put in that little bit of extra effort. The next up is the valuable pod, and believe it or not, but the story here is going to be extremely similar to that of the Gyan cannon. Straight out of the box, it's not going to be a complete fit, but with a little bit of work here and there, you can make it work. Also, I will apologize that I only have the limited edition right here and I don't have the regular valuable pod to show you the color difference, but as you can see right here, there are subtle differences in the color, namely this being purple, this being dark blue, and the gray here being slightly lighter than that of the revived Gyan. Now, at the end of the day, while they are different, they aren't like completely different. So the end result in terms of colors is going to be acceptable. But you know, if you're going to put in that little bit of extra effort, you might as well go the extra mile and paint the entire damn thing just to be sure. So then, for how it fits together and how it doesn't fit together, starting off very similar to the Gyan cannon, the stuff you mount on the forearms, a complete fit. It even clicks on there, as you might have heard, so this is absolutely perfectly. Then the backpack, once again similar to the Gyan cannon. The difference here is you can peg it in there until it falls out. So yeah, it's an extremely loose connection, but you know, it does go in there. The thing here is though, that while you can peg it in, it's actually lower than you would have it on the regular Gyan. So what you would have to do is actually get these pegs on top of it, which is how it works with the original Gyan, and then glue it like this, which is how it would be, well, how it should be. So yeah, a little bit of glue here is recommended. And then of course, well, the swords, they're just going to work because they're swords. And not just does it fit, it's extremely solid in there. So the swords are great. Then another thing that fits absolutely perfectly, decapitate him and replace it with the new head. Goes in there absolutely perfectly. Up, down, not so much because of the way it's designed, but you can move them backwards and forwards, side to side about that far, because once again, the way the damn thing is designed. But yeah, it will still have all the movement it has regularly as far as it's designed to move. So yeah, pretty nice there. Then we get to the final thing, which is probably what a lot of people expected to not work, the shoulders. Because when I remove these shoulders, we have a peg here for the shoulders, and these of course are on ball joints. So you're probably already thinking to yourself, well, the game's over, it's not going to work whatsoever. But never give up too soon. Now this is going to require a bit of work. What you have to do is basically cut this open, sand this down, and click it onto the little exposed part there. So the thing is, you sand this down enough so that it fits on there, clicks on there, and then forms, well, you know, the shoulder armor. And in a similar fashion to the way you gotta sand down the shoulder parts of the Gyan cannon, you will also have to do some sanding here. Though in this case, I do recommend sanding this thing down instead of the actual shoulder, because, well, the shoulder here is going to be showing a lot more than on the Gyan cannon, where the shoulder ball is going to be completely hidden. So yeah, once again, very similar to the Gyan cannon. So, in conclusion, not only is the Gyan Revive an amazing model kit, it's also compatible with the previously released stuff for the original Gyan, albeit with a little bit of work here and there. And even if you're not willing to do any extra work, you can still find some pieces of those sets that are compatible straight out of the box. And of course, you know, resin always requires a bit of work, but putting that aside, the Gyan Revive, one hell of a machine it is. So that's all for this video, and see you guys next time.